It's a big day today for Michelin India. They had just inaugurated or kicked off their passenger vehicle tire plant. And obviously, this has come after a long time. But talking to me about this and Michelin's plans for India, I have with me Vitor Silva, the president of Middle East, Africa, and Asia, and Shantanu Deshpande, the managing director of Michelin India. Congratulations, gentlemen. Vitor, I'd like to start off with you. You've been in India with bus and truck for a long time, and as a brand, you've been, very long. But passenger tires, you've been importing all this while.
Yes.
What was the decision to come right now? And to be honest, was that fact that tires had moved from OGL to restricted, and then all the other QCOs of BIS, ISI marking, was that also a trigger point to make it practical to manufacture in India?
Yeah. So, when you look into the history of Michelin, our operating model is that we always start with importing tires, and then when the market grows enough and it's time for us to make an investment, we will create factories. So the decision to start with bus and truck at the time was the right one. We anticipated the transformation into tubeless and radial to be much faster. And it was always our plan to, at some point, have a passenger car factory. And, the changes on the import authorizations from the government, they accelerated that.
Right.
But it was always our plan. So in the end, the Indian government gave us a little push, and we are very happy to have the factory.
It's all part of the Make in India story. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And just coming to the Indian market, it's obviously a big market, 4.2 million cars, but it's also got its own challenges. Costs are it's a very cost sensitive market. I wanted to get your sense on, compared to the other markets, what really are the challenges in India? Is it cost? Is it road conditions and building a tires, which kind of meet all the, let's say, values of Michelin and the quality, but at a very competitive cost?
Well, in some sense, Michelin always goes to market in the same way. We look into the conditions of the market where we want to play, and we try to bring to the consumers our technology and the product that meets their requirements. In that sense, we don't really see a big difference between the Indian consumer and consumers elsewhere. When they are looking for safety, when they are looking for performance, when they are looking to support a brand that protects the environment and protects people and works with people and works with the environment, then Michelin, it's their brand. And we see the same behaviors in India, in the US, in Europe, and elsewhere. So in that sense, there's not a lot of differences. Obviously, the Indian market has its own specificities, and Shantanu would be, the best person to go into the details of what's different for Michelin in India.
Right. So, Shantanu, turning to you.
Yes.
Clearly, looking at the Indian market, our road conditions, obviously, super low profile tires don't work here. We've seen that, we have ground clearance issues. At the same time, customers are very sensitive to tire wear. Obviously, they want the maximum bang for their buck.
Right.
I mean, when you're designing a tire for India or you've launched these tires for India, what was very specific from a construction point of view for the Indian market?
Yeah. So, Hormazd, thanks for sharing these views with us. I think I want to put things in perspective here. With the tires which we are already selling today in India, they are what we call as homologated for India. So we do a very rigorous and robust testing before we homologate a given tire. There's an internal process, something which we call as DOS, which is a document which captures all the usage conditions. And those usage conditions are not just about potholes or bad roads. It is a very wide document encompassing the speeds, the power of the vehicle, and multitude of factors based on which we homologate the tire. So tires which we are selling today,
Maybe wrong inflation because people.
That is something which we continue to educate or try to educate our consumer through our partners, through our dealers on the importance of air pressure. But just coming back to the specific tires which we are selling today are the ones which we will manufacture here. So I don't see these tires being to be designed separately. They're already suitable for Indian conditions.
No, what I meant is suitable for Indian conditions. So I'm being very specific. Let's say sidewall construction. That's a very key element, which is very specific for our road conditions. Obviously, you would develop that differently than, let's say, a tire in Europe, for example. These sort of nuances. Maybe tread pattern where, you can be a little bit more aggressive on the tread, because I think Indians might like an aggressive tread pattern, and they might compromise a bit on the noise level, which is not as critical here as it would be in Europe. So I'm just saying, are these sort of nuances which you have brought?
Those kind of nuances are already taken care of for the tires which we are bringing in. For example, most of our tires which we are currently importing today are importing from our Thailand plants. They are not mainly from Europe. 80% plus is coming from our Thailand plants, which have similar conditions to ours, both climatic conditions and even sometimes road conditions. And as we start to manufacture here, as we learn a bit more about the conditions, depending on how things are progressed, we'll adapt the products. But the tire lines which we are currently selling in India will be the tire lines produced here locally in Chennai.
Right.
And if you look into the performance of our products over the next many years, we don't see an increase on consumer claims or product failure compared to other markets. And so it's fair to say that the tires that we have currently in India, they perform at the expected level, and it's comparable with tires that we produce and sell in other geographies.
Right. Now, you talked of 16 to 22-inch sizes. Now, if you jumped in, you've seen your first tire, SSC5, 17-inch tire, obviously 215, 60, 17. So really bang in the heart of the mid-size segment, and a good upsize as well.
Correct.
So you're starting off with aftermarket.
Yes.
Do you see that an upsize is an option? How many people really upsize or just go for the standard size? And, what's your kind of reading of the trend over there?
Yeah. So I won't be able to put a percentage on what is the percentage of upsizes the consumers are doing, but the range which we will produce here in this factory, from 16 to 20 to 22-inch, we will have close to 70 different sizes.
Right.
Individual stock keeping units, if you may call it. And that range, we believe, will take care of the regular sizes which are coming OE fitted with the car, but also the upsizes.
Right.
We do, however, take extreme care of ensuring that the upsize which we are recommending to a given particular car is the right recommendation based on from a technical specification of a car. We don't randomly suggest any upsize. So it is possible some crazy upsizes which happens in the market, we may not have those sizes because we are a responsible company. We would recommend the ones which are technically acceptable for the vehicle manufacturer.
Typically a +1 and
+1, sometimes +2, depending on the section width, also sometimes going up in inches.
Right.
Those are the upsize options which we have for all the possible cars in India today.
Right. And just coming back to the tire which you've launched, clearly mid-size SUVs, where the Cretas are, where the Tigers are. Do you think that's a sweet spot from a volume and even margin point of view? Because let's be honest, the higher you go, the better the margins you have. So just from a business point of view, do you think that really is where the heart of the market is for you?
We believe so. That is why we have made a choice of not to go below 15 inches.
Correct.
We believe that is a segment where we would not want to play.
Right.
16 inches is the right starting point for us. It will progress from 16 to 17. What we have also seen, Hormazd, in the last couple of years, every 2 or 3 years, the market shifts by an inch.
That's very interesting.
So 16 inches today could be 14 inches of 5 years from down the line, right? 20 years ago, when I was an account manager, to sell a 15-inch tire was a big deal.
Right.
Today, we are not wanting to even play in that segment. So, but market progress.
I think we have 12 inches, which is the best selling tire. Yeah.
So that will continue to happen. We will adapt our portfolio as the market progresses, depending on how the diversity of our vehicle park changes. That will continue to happen.
Right. And, again, just looking at, you talked about, I think in the presentation, you said you would charge a premium. I mean, there is a premium to the tire. Indians are very value conscious. How would you kind of convey that premium to them? Because, they might only experience that much later, but just looking at the tire, because I think would that be the challenge really?
I would love that the fact that customers are value conscious, because that is exactly what we want to sell. We want to sell the value which Michelin will bring.
Right.
We believe that the value which we are providing to our consumers is at a right price, right? It can translate into a
Premium.
acceptable premium.
Right.
But that does not mean that the premium is not in line with the value which you are offering. Right. I'll give you a very simple example. When we talk to a consumer and when we're trying to sell a Michelin tire, we don't say that, okay, this is the world's largest, biggest and most important brand, so buy Michelin. That is not how our value proposition is. We try to explain that how safer the tire is. If you are driving on a wet road, you would rather want to have your car stop before it is required to be stopped and not after, right? And there is a value for it to pay, and the consumers understand that, and they are happily paying for it.
And, Shantanu, just talking about the Indian consumer, clearly, unlike the West, there's not that much awareness over here on tires. It's, sometimes seen as a commodity. People go in for the cheapest price. Obviously, that's changing. So what is your kind of perspective on how the consumer is evolving, and probably even y'all are coming in at a time when there's a high level of awareness, and also, as you said, people are moving from being cost conscious to value conscious.
Yes, absolutely.
So, just your thoughts on consumers, and is tires something that they actually consider now, or is it still very much just a commodity like another replacement part?
Well, I would not want to say that it is a commodity. I would want to make sure that this
I'm
is
saying in
the minds of the consumer.
Yeah,
now, let's be honest. Tire is not a category which you just get up in the morning and say, okay, let's go buy tires. It's not. It's a
Exactly.
It's a low involvement category as such.
Right.
And that, because of this reason, it puts a lot of onus and responsibility on the manufacturers like us on how to rightly educate our consumers. We try to do this through two, let's say, work streams, if I call it. The dealerships which we will have and the consumer experience stores which we will now have across the country, we will ensure that when a consumer is walking in a Michelin store, he has the right information about tires, right information about Michelin as a brand, and he is given enough information for he or she to make that choice. That's on the store. We also now have learned that over the past years, the behavior of a consumer has changed, and as per our estimates, 80%, if not more, consumers, they do what we call as robo. They research online before purchasing on offline.
Right.
And our effort is going to be also ensuring that the information they are researching online is the right one. They know which dealer to go, they know what tire to buy for, they know what are the features, advantages, benefits of those tires. So they go in with an informed choice before they eventually buy a Michelin tire.
And how important is community? Because that's a really key way of kind of, shaping brand perception, peer to peer, especially with high performance tires. Are you planning anything from a community standpoint?
And we are, that's a very good point, Hormazd. We are going in that direction. We have started to engage what we call as high value club, or clubs who are wanting to go and have the experience riding on a test circuit. We are partnering with some premium car makers. Very recently, we are partnering with Mercedes-Benz, going across the country as a tire supplier for their ride and drive event. And this is the direction we believe will go, because the community will sometimes also help us to educate the common consumers in a much more informed manner than what you and me can do. And it is a very important factor. We will consider that going forward.
Right. And Vitor, just turning to you and an overall perspective, you've seen how electrification is pushing forward in terms of tire development and technology. Clearly a push more towards low noise, low rolling resistance, at the same time maintaining wet grip, dry grip, very conflicting requirements. So, and Michelin, obviously, that's a technology which you all are going to kind of constantly develop, producing this tire which balances all these kind of conflicting parameters. But, going towards EV, low noise, low rolling resistance, is this really the main focus?
Yes, and that's what we do, and that's what we do, I would say, best. The intersection between competing requirements and coming up with a product that is very good on energy saving. If it's a ICE vehicle, translates into fuel consumption. If it's a battery vehicle, range. And then the questions about noise, and we have many initiatives around noise that start by the design of the tread patterns, but will evolve into different solutions that in due time we will include in all our tires, because noise will become more important, right?
Right. And, just looking at India as a potential, obviously we've got a lot of land here, 225 acres, as you said. So a lot of capacity expansion. I don't want to put a number, but your kind of hope, where do you think India will be in Michelin's universe, let's say 5 to 7 years from now?
Well, if you look into the geography and where Michelin is operating, I would say that the only country where there's true potential for exponential growth in the next 10 years, it's India. Eventually, at some point, maybe 10, 15 years down the road, we could see some similar trends in Africa, but it's still, at least 10, 15 years out. And then when you look into the Americas, Europe, China, you see that actually the car parks are stable, declining. You see less engagement with cars for younger generations. You see people more conscious to commuting. So really, India will be the number one. I have no doubts. Then it's a question of speed, and I think it will come faster than what everyone anticipates.
One very interesting stats which I think sometimes we kind of a blind spot. Cars per 1,000 vehicles in India is in the low double digits.
That's right.
So there is a huge headroom for us to
That's
huge headroom for us to grow in terms of the vehicle park, etc. Yes, it is much healthier in metro cities, but we see this trend now also going to tier 2, tier 3 cities where consumers are buying good cars. You find all the premium dealerships of cars in tier 2, tier 3 towns.
Right.
So that's because of the big headroom which we have to grow. And as like Vitor said,
So just taking on from that, you're talking about the overall growth. So obviously you started in retail, aftermarket. You will go to OEM supply, which gives you your volume and fills up the capacity. What is your strategy on that? Will you first obviously look at the premium segment where maybe, some local brands are not present and really focus on that and have a top-down approach from an OEM supply standpoint?
Yeah, so I would say this way, Hormazd. I think the spirit or the principle behind whether it is an aftermarket or an OEM remains the same. What is the value we are able to bring to a customer, whether it is a consumer or an OEM manufacturer, and that will remain true for us even when we start to do OEM. If the value proposition which we are bringing is accepted for any Indian player which wants to position itself, why not? We will of course consider them, but that is at a later stage. We want to first make sure that we are firmly in our place in our aftermarket, and OEMs will come. We have our worldwide partnerships with many brands.
Right.
When the time is right, we will also look into having them supplied locally.
So you will leverage those partnerships to come local.
By definition, yes.
Yeah. And, on the absolute top end, where a lot of enthusiasts enjoy your tires, your Cup 2s, and, imports.
Yeah.
What is your strategy on that? Clearly, these tires you will no longer need to import, but obviously you can't manufacture the really specialized tires. How difficult is it right now? And is being, let's say locally present here, does that make things easier? Or is it for the low volume tires still the kind of QCO markings still a challenge in importing that?
So QCO marking is not a challenge, Hormazd. Any tire which we are today importing and selling in India, they are all ISI marked.
Right.
And we will ensure that we abide by the law.
The small volumes.
If we want to get those small volumes, we will not get them without ISI marking because we want to abide by the land of the law.
Right.
However, you make a very strong point. Whether it is possible for us to make everything locally, we don't believe so.
Right.
Let's start from tires. Tires is a very complex product. More than 200 components goes into a tire. It is impossible to have everything sourced locally. We rely a lot also today on imported raw material.
Right.
In the same spirit, looking at the diversity of our vehicle park, it is going to be difficult, if not impossible, for a tire manufacturer to make everything in India.
Right.
We believe that there has to be a right balance between imports and locally manufactured. Of course, majority of our sales will come from locally manufactured tires. But like you said, for the Cup 2s and for those very niche, high-end specific tires, we'll have to rely on import. And we'll see how the situation evolves, how the policy evolves, and we'll adapt accordingly.
No, so the point is they can be easily imported. I mean, you have to rely on imports. So,
Correct.
Or are there still challenges importing those tires?
No, I think we are working with the government. I think the government has been very supportive for us to allow us imports while we build our plant, and we believe this will continue in the future as well.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen. Really, congratulations on being here today, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Hormazd.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for your time.